Welcome. Settle in, find a comfortable position, and allow your body to relax. Let the weight of the day drift away as we journey back in time, across the sands of the desert to a land of ancient wonders. Tonight, we are not just visiting history, we are stepping into it, breathing its air and uncovering one of its most profound mysteries. Close your eyes and imagine the vast, star-dusted sky of the Egyptian night. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, sweet scent of the Nile's waters. Before you, silhouetted against the deep indigo canvas, rise the Great Pyramids of Giza. They stand as silent, eternal mountains of stone, their perfect triangular forms pointing towards the heavens, a bridge between the earth and the cosmos. For millennia, these structures have captivated the human imagination. They have been the subject of endless speculation, of myths involving lost technologies and otherworldly beings. But tonight, we will gently peel back the layers of legend and listen to the quieter, more incredible story that archaeology tells us. It is a story not of magic, but of human ingenuity, of immense cooperation, and of a devotion that could literally move mountains. We will journey to the Old Kingdom, more than 4,500 years ago, to the reign of a pharaoh named Khufu. It was his vision that gave birth to the largest of these monuments, the Great Pyramid, a structure that would remain the tallest man-made object on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. We will walk alongside the architects who planned its impossible geometry, the quarrymen who carved its colossal stones, and the thousands of workers who, through sheer will and brilliant organization, brought this wonder into being. This is the real story of how the pyramids were built. It is a tale of a nation united in a single monumental purpose. So relax, breathe deeply, and let the gentle rhythm of our story guide you into a peaceful, restorative sleep. Let the mysteries of ancient Egypt become the landscape of your dreams. 2. The vision and planning. Our story begins not with a stone, but with a thought, a divine vision in the mind of a king. Around the year 2560 BC, Pharaoh Khufu, a ruler of the 4th dynasty, decreed the creation of his eternal resting place. This was to be no ordinary tomb. It was to be a stairway to heaven, a physical manifestation of the Egyptian belief in the afterlife, a monument that would ensure his soul's successful journey to the stars and his rebirth with the morning sun. The project began with a profound understanding of the cosmos. The ancient Egyptian priests and architects were master astronomers. They watched the stars, charted their movements, and understood the sacred geometry of the universe. The pyramid was not to be placed randomly on the desert floor. Its 4 sides were to be perfectly aligned with the 4 cardinal points: north, south, east, and west. This celestial alignment was crucial, connecting the pharaoh's earthly existence with the eternal cycles of the cosmos. The northern shaft of the king's chamber was designed to point directly at the circumpolar stars, the imperishable ones that never set, symbolizing the pharaoh's eternal soul. The location chosen for this grand undertaking was the Giza Plateau. It was a deliberate and strategic choice. The high, flat limestone bedrock provided a stable foundation, strong enough to support the immense weight of the millions of stones to come. Its proximity to the Nile River was essential for transporting materials, and it was close to the capital city of Memphis, the heart of the kingdom's power. The master architects, men of incredible skill and knowledge, began their work. We may never know their names, but their genius is immortalized in stone. They did not have computers or advanced drafting tools, yet they created a blueprint of breathtaking precision. Using simple but effective instruments, they laid out the pyramid's vast square base, which covered over 13 acres. They used long ropes marked at intervals to measure distances. To create perfect right angles, they may have used the 3-4-5 triangle method, a simple geometric principle that produces a perfect 90-degree corner. To ensure the base was perfectly level, they likely surrounded the area with a shallow trench filled with water, marking the water line on the rock, and then cutting the entire surface down to that level. The precision they achieved is astonishing. The difference in height between the corners of the Great Pyramid's base is less than an inch. This was the foundation not just of a building, but of a national dream. Every line drawn in the sand, every angle measured against the stars was an act of faith and a testament to a civilization that believed in eternity. The vision was set, the plan was laid, and now the entire kingdom would be mobilized to bring it to life. 3. Gathering resources and materials. With the blueprint perfected, the immense task of gathering the necessary resources began. The Great Pyramid would be built from the very substance of Egypt itself, a symphony of stone sourced from across the kingdom. The scale of the logistics was unprecedented, a testament to the organizational power of the Old Kingdom state. The bulk of the pyramid, its core, was to be made of limestone, and for this, the builders looked no further than the Giza Plateau itself. Great quarries were opened just south of the construction site. Here, thousands of workers toiled under the hot sun, their rhythmic chanting and the sharp clink of their tools echoing across the desert. They were not carving with steel, which had not yet been invented, but with harder stone tools and copper chisels. They would cut deep channels into the bedrock, outlining the massive blocks, some weighing as much as a small car. Then, they would drive wooden wedges into the channels, soak them with water, and as the wood expanded, the great blocks would split from the mother rock. It was a slow, laborious process, requiring immense patience and strength. But for the pyramid's outer casing, a more beautiful and pristine stone was required. This was the Tura limestone, a fine, white stone that would make the pyramid gleam like a polished jewel in the sunlight. The Tura quarries were located on the eastern bank of the Nile, miles away from Giza. The quarried blocks were carefully loaded onto large wooden barges and transported down the lifeblood of Egypt, the Nile River. Imagine the sight: a flotilla of boats, their sails billowing in the gentle breeze, carrying the gleaming white stones that would form the sacred skin of the pyramid. And for the most sacred spaces within the pyramid, the king's chamber and the sarcophagus, an even more precious stone was needed: red granite. This hard, beautiful stone, flecked with shimmering quartz, was quarried in Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. The granite blocks were colossal, some weighing up to 80 tons. Moving them was a monumental challenge. They were hewn from the quarry, loaded onto massive barges, and carefully navigated down the Nile, a journey that could take weeks. This was a national project, a collective effort that drew upon the resources of the entire land. To facilitate this incredible flow of materials, the Egyptians engineered a network of canals and harbors, bringing the Nile's waters right to the foot of the Giza Plateau. Recent archaeological discoveries, like the Diary of Mirror, a papyrus logbook from a foreman involved in the construction, have confirmed that a special harbor was built, allowing boats to deliver their precious cargo directly to the worksite. From the harbor, the stones would begin their final journey up to the rising pyramid. This was more than just a construction project, it was a perfectly orchestrated dance of logistics. Copper for the tools was mined in the distant Sinai Peninsula. Strong timber for the sledges and levers was imported from Lebanon. And to feed the thousands of workers, a constant supply of food, bread, fish, and meat was brought in from the fertile farms of the Nile Delta. The entire kingdom was humming with activity, all focused on this single, sacred goal on the Giza Plateau. Ivo, the workforce, a nation united. Now let us turn to the people who built the pyramids. For centuries, the prevailing image, popularized by Hollywood and ancient Greek accounts, was of thousands of slaves toiling under the lash of cruel overseers. But as you drift deeper into a state of peaceful relaxation, let this old, harsh image dissolve. The truth, as revealed by archaeology, is a far more inspiring story of a nation united in a common purpose. The builders of the pyramids were not slaves. They were skilled Egyptian workers, farmers, and craftsmen who lived and worked in a highly organized and well cared for community. At the height of construction, it is estimated that a workforce of 20 to 25 people was involved. This was a city of builders, a temporary metropolis dedicated to the pharaoh's eternal home. This workforce was divided into two main groups. There was a permanent salaried workforce of around 5 skilled craftsmen. These were the master masons, the tool makers, the architects, and the overseers. They lived with their families in a planned town at the foot of the pyramids, a place we now call the workers' village. Excavations of this village have revealed a community with houses, bakeries, breweries, and even medical facilities. They ate well, receiving daily rations of bread, beer, meat, and fish. Evidence from their skeletons shows that they had access to excellent medical care. Broken bones were set, and even complex surgeries like amputations were performed. Then there was the larger temporary workforce of up to 25 people. These were likely farmers from across Egypt who participated in the construction during the annual Nile flood. When the river overflowed its banks, covering the agricultural land, farming was impossible. During these months, the pharaoh could call upon his people to contribute their labor to state projects, a system of national service known as the corvée. These were not slaves, but citizens contributing to a project they believed was vital to the prosperity and stability of their entire world. They lived in simpler camps near the main village and worked in 3 or 4 month shifts before returning to their farms. The entire workforce was brilliantly organized. Graffiti left by the workers themselves tells us they were divided into large crews of several thousand, which were then subdivided into smaller gangs with names like the Drunkards of Menkaure or the Friends of Khufu. These names suggest a sense of camaraderie and pride in their work. Each gang was further divided into philes, or tribes, of about 200 men. This hierarchical structure ensured that the work was efficient and that everyone knew their role. And when their lives came to an end, these workers were not cast into unmarked pits. They were buried with honor in their own cemeteries, their tombs filled with bread and beer for the afterlife. These humble tombs, located in the shadow of the Great Pyramids they helped to build, are perhaps the most powerful evidence of their status. They were respected members of a society that valued their contribution, a nation of builders who left behind a legacy of stone and spirit. V. Tools and technologies. As we continue our journey, let us look closer at the hands of the builders and the tools they held. The technology of the Old Kingdom may seem simple to our modern eyes, but in its application, it was nothing short of genius. The Egyptians were masters of their materials, using their knowledge of physics and engineering to achieve incredible feats. The primary metal available to them was copper. While relatively soft, they learned to harden it through a process of annealing, heating, and slow cooling and hammering. This created the copper chisels, saws, and drills that were used to quarry the softer limestone blocks. Imagine the sound, a constant rhythmic tapping of stone hammers against copper chisels, slowly but surely shaping the rock. For the much harder granite, copper tools were not enough. Here, the Egyptians employed an ingenious technique using abrasive sand. They would use a copper saw, but as they sawed, they would pour a slurry of fine, hard quartz sand into the cut. It was the sand, not the saw, that did the cutting, grinding its way through the granite with painstaking patience. To move the massive blocks, they used simple but powerful tools based on the principles of leverage and friction. Strong wooden levers were used to pry the stones and maneuver them into position. They built massive sledges from imported timber, placing the multi-ton blocks on top. To pull these sledges across the sand, they didn't need wheels. A famous depiction from a later tomb shows a team of workers pulling a colossal statue on a sledge, while one man stands at the front, pouring water onto the sand. Modern experiments have shown that wetting the sand in front of a sledge reduces the friction by half, making it possible for a relatively small team of men to pull an astonishingly heavy load. Their precision tools were equally simple and effective. They used plumb bobs, a weight on a string, to establish perfect vertical lines. To create level surfaces, they used A-frame levels with a plumb bob in the center. When the string aligned with a central mark, the surface was level. They used long, straight wooden rods as straight edges to ensure the faces of the blocks were perfectly flat. The combination of these simple tools, used with immense skill and patience, allowed them to achieve a level of precision that still baffles engineers today. The joints between the casing stones of the Great Pyramid are so fine that it is impossible to insert even a thin blade between them. This was not a technology of brute force, but of cleverness and a deep understanding of the natural world. It was a technology born of necessity, honed over generations, and wielded by craftsmen who were masters of their art. They did not have engines or electricity, but they had the power of human ingenuity, and with it, they shaped the very bedrock of their world. 6. Construction methods. The great work begins now, the stage is set. The materials are gathered, the workforce is assembled, and the tools are ready. The great work begins. How did they lift these millions of massive stones, stacking them higher and higher to create a man-made mountain? The answer, most archaeologists agree, lies in the simple but effective power of the ramp. The exact nature of these ramps is still a subject of debate, a gentle mystery that invites us to wonder. Some scholars envision a long, straight ramp, growing in height and length as the pyramid grew. But such a ramp would have eventually become enormous, its volume of material rivaling the pyramid itself. Others suggest a series of zigzagging ramps, switching back and forth across one face of the pyramid. A more elegant theory proposes a spiral ramp, corkscrewing around the outside of the pyramid as it rose. This would have allowed for a more gradual incline and would have been easier to construct and deconstruct. Recently, a fascinating new theory has gained traction, supported by modern imaging technology, the internal ramp. This theory, proposed by architect Jean-Pierre Houdin, suggests that an external ramp was used to build the lower third of the pyramid. Then, the builders transitioned to an internal ramp, a spiral tunnel just inside the pyramid's outer walls, which they used to haul the remaining blocks to the top. This would explain the lack of archaeological evidence for a massive external ramp and would have been a remarkably efficient method. As you relax, you can almost feel the slow, steady procession of workers, their footsteps echoing in the cool, dark tunnel as they haul another stone towards the sky. A remarkable discovery in 2018 at a quarry in Hatnub has shed new light on the Egyptians' mastery of slopes. Archaeologists found a 4,500-year-old ramp system dating to the time of Khufu with a central ramp flanked by two sets of stairs. Post holes alongside the stairs suggest that a system of ropes and pulleys was used, allowing workers to haul heavy alabaster blocks up incredibly steep inclines. This proves that the Egyptians had a sophisticated understanding of mechanical advantage, using posts as bollards to multiply their pulling force. As the stones reached the working level, they were maneuvered into their final position using levers and immense skill. The core blocks were laid first, a slightly rougher internal structure. Then, the fine white Tura limestone casing stones were placed with breathtaking precision. Each casing stone was cut at a slight angle to create the pyramid's iconic slope. As the pyramid rose, layer by layer, it was a hive of activity, a perfectly choreographed construction site. Surveyors constantly checked the angles and alignments, ensuring the pyramid's geometry remained perfect. The sound was a symphony of industry, the rhythmic chanting of the haulers, the sharp tap of the masons' chisels, the shouted commands of the overseers, all blending into a single powerful hum of creation. This was not a chaotic rush, but a slow, deliberate, and incredibly precise process, a testament to the Egyptians' ability to organize and execute a project of unimaginable scale. It was a marathon of construction lasting for 20 years, a lifetime of work for many of the builders. Second, the human story, life during construction. Let us now drift away from the grand scale of construction and into the quiet, personal moments of the people who made it all possible. Let's imagine a day in the life of a pyramid builder, a man named Nakht, a farmer from a village downriver. Nakht's day begins before dawn, with the first cool hint of the coming sunrise. He rises from his simple sleeping mat in the temporary workers' camp. The air is filled with the smell of baking bread from the communal bakeries and the low murmur of thousands of men waking. He eats a hearty breakfast of bread and beer, the fuel for the hard day ahead. He is not a slave, but a proud contributor to the pharaoh's eternal glory, a work he believes ensures the balance and prosperity of his world. He joins his gang, the Friends of Khufu, and they make their way to the Great Ramp. Today, their task is to haul the massive limestone blocks up to the next level of the pyramid. Nakht takes his place on the thick braided ropes of the sledge. The overseer gives a signal and a chant begins, a rhythmic song that coordinates their movements. With a great unified effort, they lean into the ropes and the sledge begins its slow, arduous journey up the ramp. The sun climbs higher in the sky, beating down on their backs, but they work on, their muscles straining, their bodies united in a single purpose. At midday, they break for a meal and rest in the shadow of the rising pyramid. They share stories from their villages, laugh, and complain about their sore muscles. They are a community, a brotherhood forged in shared labor. In the afternoon, the work continues. The same rhythmic pull, the same slow progress, stone after stone, journey after journey up the ramp. Meanwhile, in the permanent workers' village, Nacht's wife, Merit, is engaged in her own work. She grinds grain to make flour for the bakeries, weaves linen for clothing, and tends to their small children. She lives in a simple mud brick house, but it is a home. She is part of the vast support network that keeps the construction project alive. She knows her husband's work is important, and she is proud of his contribution. In the evening, as the sun sets, casting long shadows from the half-finished pyramid, Nacht returns to his camp, exhausted but satisfied. He washes the dust from his body, eats his evening meal, and perhaps shares a cup of beer with his friends. He might look up at the massive structure, now a dark silhouette against the twilight sky, and feel a sense of awe at what they are creating. He might even find a quiet moment to scratch a message on one of the blocks, a simple piece of graffiti. Nacht was here, the friends of Khufu. It is a small act of individuality, a human touch on a superhuman scale. This was the life of the pyramid builders. It was a life of hard work, but also of community, of purpose, and of pride. It was a human story, a story of ordinary people who, working together, achieved the extraordinary. V8. Engineering marvels and mysteries, as our journey nears its end, let us pause and reflect on the sheer wonder of what was accomplished. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not just a large building, it is a masterpiece of engineering, a monument that continues to challenge our understanding of the ancient world. As you sink deeper into relaxation, let these marvels fill your mind with a sense of peaceful awe. The scale is almost impossible to comprehend. The pyramid is made of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing, on average, 2.5 tons. Some of the granite blocks in the king's chamber weigh up to 80 tons. The total weight of the structure is estimated at 6 million tons. For over 3,800 years, it stood as the tallest building on Earth, a testament to the ambition of its creators. But it is the precision that is truly mind-boggling. As we mentioned, the base is almost perfectly level, and the four sides are aligned to the cardinal points with an accuracy that is astonishing even by modern standards. The sides of the square base have an average length of 756 feet, and the difference between the longest and shortest sides is less than 8 inches. The casing stones were so perfectly fitted that a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. Inside this mountain of stone lies a network of passages and chambers, a hidden world designed to protect the pharaoh's final journey. The descending passage, which leads down into the bedrock, is so straight that it deviates by less than 1/4 of an inch over its entire length of 350 feet. The Grand Gallery, a magnificent ascending corridor, is a marvel of corbelled architecture, with each layer of its high ceiling cantilevering slightly inwards to create a stable and soaring space. And yet, for all that we know, mysteries remain. We still do not know for certain the exact methods used to achieve such precision. We are still debating the exact configuration of the ramps. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is that of the chambers themselves. In 2017, a project called Scan Pyramids used cosmic ray imaging to detect a large, previously unknown void above the Grand Gallery, a space as large as a 200-seat airplane. We do not know its purpose. Is it a hidden chamber? A structural feature designed to relieve weight? The pyramid still holds its secrets, whispering to us across the millennia. These enduring mysteries are not a sign of our ignorance, but a testament to the genius of the ancient Egyptians. They created a monument so complex, so sophisticated, that it continues to inspire wonder and research thousands of years later. It is a puzzle written in stone, a challenge to our intellect, and a source of endless fascination. And as you drift towards sleep, you can rest in the knowledge that some beautiful mysteries are meant to last forever. Hikes, legacy, and reflection. And so, after 20 years of tireless effort, the Great Pyramid was complete. It stood on the Giza Plateau, encased in polished white limestone, its peak, or pyramidion, perhaps covered in shining electrum, a mixture of gold and silver. It must have been a breathtaking sight, a beacon of light and power, visible for miles around, a man-made mountain that seemed to touch the sun. This was more than just a tomb. It was a symbol of the unified power of the Egyptian state, a testament to the organizational genius of its leaders, and a monument to the skill and dedication of its people. It was a machine for the afterlife, designed to ensure the pharaoh's successful journey to the stars and, in doing so, to maintain the cosmic order, or ma'at, upon which all of Egyptian life depended. The pyramids teach us that the ancient Egyptians were not a mysterious, otherworldly people, but were, in many ways, just like us. They were brilliant engineers, master organizers, and dedicated workers. They had families, communities, and a deep sense of pride in their work. They faced immense challenges and overcame them with ingenuity and cooperation. They have shown us that with a shared vision and a united effort, human beings are capable of achieving the seemingly impossible. As you finally drift into a deep and peaceful sleep, let the image of the Great Pyramid fill your mind. See it not as a cold, empty monument, but as a place of vibrant life, a testament to the enduring power of human creativity and spirit. Feel the gentle breeze of the Nile, see the endless stars in the desert sky, and hear the faint, lingering echo of the builder's chants. The mystery of the pyramids is not just about how they were built, but why. It is a story of faith, of ambition, and of a civilization's profound connection to the cosmos and to eternity. Rest now. Let the sands of time carry you into a world of dreams, a world where mountains are moved, where the earth touches the sky, and where the human spirit shines as brightly as the sun. Sleep well.